Bringing up cold chain is, of course, I mean, it's such a game changer to think about not having to have these medicines, these critical medicines, right, throughout the cold chain for hours, for days, extreme temperatures, and a long road travel or shipping and whatever that looks like. So I think that to me sounded like one of the most exciting aspects of it. But I read too, just reducing all the multiple components in an injectable kit is huge. When talking about the consumer experience, I'm sure, right?
100%.
Fear of needles and all that stuff.
100%.
Yeah. So what are the other kind of overarching, I guess, benefits of having the medicine delivered this way?
Yeah, I mean, there's several ways I can take that question, but I think to start, let's focus on what do we believe the impact could be of shelf-stable treatments as a whole.
Yeah.
One of the things that has been the most interesting to me is how even though we have the cold chain in place, and in somewhere like the United States where we have a lot of resources that we can dedicate to that, there's still a lot of issues associated with transporting treatments along the supply chain of manufacturing all the way to point of use, where we still actually have significant issues with the molecule degradation, even with the cold chain in place. So for an example, your seasonal influenza vaccine that we take at CVS or Walgreens, and don't get me started on the consumer experience of having to go to CVS or Walgreens and wait 30 minutes and all of that. But still what we're seeing is there's been several studies of how does that molecule still degrade, even when it's within the cold chain in the US, because if it's exposed to any extreme environment, any higher temperature throughout that distribution, there'll be some sort of degradation of the molecule itself.
Sure.
And so what we've seen is 25% of vaccine, seasonal influenza vaccine, shows up at CVS and it has some form of degradation. Except we as patients, CVS and Walgreens as pharmacies, they don't know what is degraded and what is not. So it really shows, I think, the fragility of the cold chain as it exists today. And so for me, I think the first change here in microneedles is imagine if that's not a concern. Now, of course, there's lots of development to go through, and we have to prove safety and efficacy of that in a much larger population. But if you could just remove the roughly $34 billion that is spent on the cold chain annually in the US, and a platform that can have these treatments shelf stable and not degrade, I think there's a massive opportunity there for us to kind of change the way that we even distribute, and then, of course, for this conversation, package those treatments.